All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. Going to be touching on the top plays here for this Thursday night showdown slate between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tennessee Titans in Week 17. If you guys enjoyed the coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. So I do want to just do a quick preview of this game. Just looking at it in general, it is expected to be a lower scoring game by Vegas. Over and under is only set at 40, which to me is going to be crazy. I also think it's kind of crazy that, I should mention, Dallas is favored to win by 10.5 points. Okay, with that being said, it is strange that we're getting Dak Prescott. His over and under TDs, passing TDs, is set at 1.5. I think that's a little bit too low, especially given his recent production. He's been able to do that really just a bunch this season. Only didn't do that twice. Obviously, Week 7 is first week back from injury, and Week 1 got injured. So really, only twice. Okay, been playing extremely well. The passing yards over and under is set at 233.5, which is also very strange to me. Against Philly, 347. That's a great defense. Okay, against Houston, 284. Against Jacksonville, 256. Indy, sure, didn't do it against Indy. New York, good defense. Like, he has hit this over a bunch thus far this season. That just seems strange to me, especially in a game in which Dallas is favored to win by much. That would suggest that Dallas is the team that's really scoring a lot, and being productive on offense. At the same time, like, CeeDee Lamb's over and under receiving yards is going to be 68.5. And obviously, if he's having a good game, and if Dak's having a good game, CeeDee Lamb's going to have a good game as well. So just a little bit strange to me there. I think that would be an approach that I would go with, is kind of loading up on CeeDee and Dak for like props bets and whatnot, if we think Dallas is going to win. And I kind of do. So let's go ahead and get into the preview. I'm going to go team by team, give you guys the captain's picks, and then the first look lineup process for you guys as well. And so really my biggest question with the Dallas Cowboys for this slate is going to be how many is too many, because they are in just such a great spot going against the Tennessee Titans, even though the prop odds don't really say so. Like, CeeDee Lamb gets a great matchup going against the Tennessee Titans, and obviously has been someone that has just been dominating. He seems like someone that should be a lineup lock, and really all we're concerned about with CeeDee Lamb is whether or not we should be playing him in the captain spot. The targets consistently have been there this whole season. You could argue he's the best receiver in this league. Obviously, you'd argue Hill and Justin Jefferson as well, but he's well within that argument. Just been playing extremely well, okay? And gets a great matchup going against the Tennessee Titans. Like, it just seems strange to me that just the props, definitely something that we're trying to go out of our way to play. Definitely something that we want to play in the flex. Then obviously, if we like CeeDee Lamb for the same reasons, we're going to like Dak Prescott. Great matchup. He's been extremely consistent. Really, the only concern with Dak is that he just hasn't been throwing the ball a lot because he hasn't had to. Okay, he's been throwing for multiple touchdowns. Really, this whole season, like I already mentioned, throwing for over 250 passing yards. Like, he has just been extremely efficient. We can see that kind of just based off the quarterback rating as well. So both Dak and CeeDee are going to be players I'm really going out of my way to play because, well, it's just the correct process, From there, we got to get news on Tony Pollard because he was a non-participant on Tuesday's practice. Okay, so as we're recording this, haven't heard anything about Wednesday's practice. Okay, typically speaking, that's just a walkthrough as well, so we wouldn't get that much information on it. So we need to monitor this situation. If Tony Pollard sits, then Zeke is going to be a lock. And honestly, if Tony Pollard sits, that's going to make this slate a lot easier just because then we could go ahead and plug and play Zeke. The issue with these two is that they have both been very consistent, and they're both playing enough snaps and being productive enough to the point where we have to consider playing both of them, okay? And that's the really unfortunate side, okay? The Titans defense has been pretty good at stopping the run, so that might shift me to more of Tony Pollard than Zeke if I had to choose like one or the other. And obviously, Zeke's production has been a little bit more fluky, just given the fact that it's been more touchdown dependent, okay, just scoring a bunch of touchdowns. So if we get news that Tony Pollard is active and not going to be hindered by any sort of injury or illness, we're good to go. I think he'd be the one that we would want to play the most. And just due to the lineup process that you guys will see, it's like we're kind of forced into trying to make that decision as well. From there, I don't really have a strong feel towards which pass catcher we should be targeting after that. Michael Gallup, I feel like he's a little bit priced up, but he has been someone that has been trending in the right direction for quite a while. But you got Dalton Schultz there as well. Dalton Schultz has been a consistent fantasy producer. The issue I have with Dalton Schultz is it's tough to imagine him really breaking a slate, whereas maybe someone like Noah Brown or Michael Gallup could do that. So looking at Noah Brown, he still played in 75% of the snaps last week, which is obviously a lot. Maybe T.Y. Hilton gets 20%, but I kind of like going Noah Brown this week, just given the fact that he is the lowest price, like good Dallas Cowboy play. But all three of those players are kind of just plays that if we end up on, I'm fine with. And I will actually touch on the Cowboys defense in this video. Typically, I like to just pass over the defense and kickers, and you can play a kicker as well if you want to. That's fine. But I do want to touch on the Dallas Cowboys defense because the Tennessee Titans offense has been terrible with Malik Willis. Just not efficient like they typically are with Tannehill. Very difficult to move the football. okay? And Malik Willis has just struggled. He's just not a good NFL quarterback yet, and maybe he could become one. But right now, throwing accuracy issues, pocket issues, you kind of just expect the Dallas Cowboys to be able to get a couple of sacks in this game, get a turnover or two, and also keep the scoring down. I mean, obviously the over and under for this game is set at 40, and the Cowboys are favored to win by 10.5 points. Okay, so that tells us that Vegas thinks the Titans are not going to score that much. And I agree. They shouldn't, unless like Willis breaks a couple of big rushes. Okay, so I do think we are going to be trying to play the Dallas Cowboys defense. And so for me, I do think, playing for Cowboys is kind of going to be the approach to go with. And if I'm setting like a lineup optimizer, I probably will set it to at least 3 Cowboys, because that should be the approach to go with. And so now switching it up into the Tennessee Titans, the real question is, who do we play? With Malik Willis really struggling, and with this being a game in which the Titans will probably be playing from behind, who do we play? Because if they're playing from behind, that really caps Derrick Henry's ability to really go off. And a lot of people are going to see his last 3 games where he has went off and probably chase that more than they should. I mean, those were 3 prime time matchups for Derrick Henry. That is why we were hammering him, okay? Now he gets a difficult matchup going against Dallas, a matchup in which you don't really expect him to go off against. And especially if it's a game in which we see the Dallas Cowboys get up early, it's not going to be a Derrick Henry game. And I think maybe the best you could hope for is maybe like 14 fantasy points if it becomes a game script in which Tennessee is playing from behind in. And that's really the biggest difference for lineup process in this slate. It's, do you think the Titans can keep it close? Because if they can, you're going to play Derrick Henry. And then you're probably playing the Titans defense as well if you think they're going to keep it close, have a huge time of possession, leading to the Dallas Cowboys not being able to score that much. I don't know. I have a tough time seeing that just because Malik Willis has really struggled. Okay. They don't want him to throw the football. It's pretty clear as that. Now, if they can get him maybe 12 rushing attempts and maybe get him a rushing touchdown, that kind of shifts the dynamic of the game. But I don't know. I just don't see this being a game in which we really want to be using too many Titans. And so with that, really the only Titans player that I want to use is going to be Haskins. Okay. He's someone that was all right in the preseason, not elite, but with Dontrell Hilliard out, he has become the pass catching back. Okay. Playing 19% of the snaps in week 15, playing 25% of the snaps last week. 2 targets in both of those games. Obviously, if this is more of a pass heavy game, a game in which they're playing from behind for a majority of the game, maybe a 2 scores or more as well, we can expect Haskins to be on the field a little bit more, maybe a max of, let's say, 40%, 45% of the snaps. Like, he's not going to get over 50%. I don't think we could project that at all. But if we can get maybe 6 targets to him and then maybe 4 catches for 8 DK points, like, we would certainly take that. Obviously, he's been over 3 DK points the last 2 weeks. The biggest issue with him as a play is literally the price point. If he was cheaper, it would really make this slate much easier because he'd be a much more logical play. And that's the biggest struggle I have on the slate, is that the Titans players are kind of priced correctly, okay? Except for like Treylon Burks, I don't really get why he's the highest priced Titans player. Like, he has had stretches where he has looked good, looks like he was about to pop, and maybe for next year's fantasy football season, like, he's a good sleeper. But as it sits right now with Willis at QB, like, you don't want to be playing him. I would say Woods should be the highest priced receiver on the slate, just given the amount of snaps he's playing the most snaps out of any Titans receiver. And he has been targeted a decent amount with Malik Willis at quarterback. I don't think we can project him to get over 7 targets, but if we can get 7 targets, that would be great. And then Westbrook as well. I mentioned in previous videos that, Tannehill really likes him. His snaps have went down a little bit though as well. So, it's just tough to end up on him as well. If they're playing from behind, you would expect more 3 receiver sets though. So, maybe in play, but at the same time, they're all kind of priced up a little bit too much, priced up to the point where you don't really want to play them. And that's going to be the same for the Titans, tight ends, is that really, I like Austin Hooper the most. Just, they're all playing about 45% of the snaps, all 3 of them. And he's kind of the mid-priced one of them that makes logical sense, where he has been getting about 4 targets, is a safe, easy target for Malik Willis to hit. Like, if you end up on him, maybe over Haskins, I'm fine with that. Okay, that's not a terrible move. But as you guys can see, like, just kind of ending up on a lot of Dallas Cowboys players. So just to recap, like, who would be the captains that I want to be on? Well, maybe we do like 10% of Derrick Henry. Okay, it's kind of like, I always bring up the George Kittle example. Like, there have been a few games thus far this season where I'm like, George Kittle makes perfect sense as a captain's play, someone that you want to be overweight on, because if he goes off, he's going off. Like, there's no in between. So I feel like that's kind of Derrick Henry. If he goes off, might as well just have him in the captain spot, okay? And if he struggles, well, you don't want to be on him anyways, so don't play him. So that's kind of my approach with Derrick Henry, maybe like 10% of him in captain, but other than that, it's tough to end up on him. So for me, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb in the captain spot if we can get there, Dak Prescott in the captain spot if we can get there, and maybe we just roll with Cowboys defense. I know it's ugly, guys, but maybe just roll with Cowboys defense. Try to lock in like 16, captain points. I don't hate the idea. I don't love that, obviously. Never a good feeling to be doing that. And so that's the biggest issue that we're seeing on the slate. And then this is kind of like a classic shoulder shrug situation where if you're just trying to make the best build you can possible, have a nice high floor build, maybe you look at something like this where Dalton Schultz, isn't going to get 0, most likely. And then you're getting the 2 top scoring Dallas Cowboys players. You're getting a strong defense. You're getting Tony Pollard. I'd be fine with that. Not exactly something I'm particularly excited about. So let's go ahead and try to make one with CeeDee Lamb in the captain spot. This isn't terrible, okay? But also at the same time, I don't love it. Like not something that gets me excited. And I would say that's going to be the theme on this slate. And I would say like maybe mix and match Zeke and Pollard a little bit. If Pollard's out, I already mentioned this will make the slate much easier because then you can just be on Zeke, and that would make the lineup process much more simple. And then lastly, just doing one with Dak in the captain spot. Obviously, we're playing Dak. We probably want to be on at least 2 of his pass catchers. So CD, I think, is still going to be the route to go. And then for this specific lineup, let's try to get to Noah Brown. And, maybe if we're doing that, then we can't play Cowboys D, then maybe go with like Robert Woods instead. Not a terrible lineup as well. But the theme here, not any lineups that we part. All right, that's all I have for you guys for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give a like and subscribe. I do appreciate that. Let's have a good slate. And as always, cash.